If gambling were easy, everyone would do it. If people won as often as Rob Gorodetsky, the self-proclaimed gambler, then it would not be gambling, would it? Rob Gorodetsky became a multi-millionaire Instagram celebrity and professional gambler in just a few short years. He played poker with celebrities such as NBA player Russell Westbrook, and he was friends with NFL players such as Odell Beckham Jr. He was even known to give Drake advice on what games to bet on. Except, not everything was what it seemed. As with a lot of things in Vegas, Rob's life seemed to be another giant illusion for anyone who was really looking. Rob Gorodetsky's life of high fashion, high rolling, and higher gambling kept growing. So how did Gorodetsky, or Big Rob as he called himself, have the lifestyle he has? Was the money he made because of sheer luck or sheer skill? Or was it something else completely? Big Rob got his gambling start on the middle school playground when he was 13. He'd act as a bookie and take on bets with his classmates. He'd also organize poker games. But as expected from any good gambling story, he got himself suspended for it. Teachers at his school learned that students were losing a bunch of money, and it was all going in Big Rob's pockets. When he wasn't running his gambling hall in high school, Rob was at his desk trading stocks on his dad's Ameritrade account. According to Rob and his parents, he made tens of thousands of dollars. His dad claimed that he made up to $500,000 in high school alone in trading. Does anything sound fishy yet? Despite being smart enough to make $500,000 throughout high school, Rob decided to go to college anyways at the University of Arizona. However, Big Rob didn't last long. In fact, he didn't even make it through his first semester. He dropped out despite his parents' objections, and he played online poker full time. Within 3 years, he built up a $90,000 bankroll. As soon as he turned 21, he headed off to Vegas to run up his bankroll. But when he got to Vegas, he moved away from poker and he began betting on sports. That was also around the time that he began playing blackjack and also tested his luck at the roulette table. And his betting started paying off big time. According to Rob, anyways. As documented on his now defunct Instagram account, Rob steadily posted winning tickets that just grew bigger and bigger. The pictures of the payouts steadily climbed from $10,000 to $100,000 and more. So how exactly did Rob do it? Rob's reputation grew so big that in 2017, he gave USA Today a tell-all story about his life. The headline of the article was called, "Is This the Future of Sports Gambling?" However, in the entire USA Today article, Rob really didn't explain anything to the methods of how he picked his bets. He essentially just talked about how much he did not know while showcasing his lifestyle. For example, on a college football game that he bet $100,000 on, he told USA Today that he didn't know any of the players, yet he still bet on them anyways. Was he just trying to brag to USA Today to how much he didn't know? Was this a way for him to tell them what was really going on? He also told them that he bet as much as $150,000 per day on NBA Summer League games that year. According to Rob, he basically took his knowledge and his gut instinct and then bet big. He then went on to say how other big gamblers would do it. He talked about the age-old common practice of high rollers bribing what Rob called, quote, inner-city college kids in order to shave points. Rob claimed that $10,000 to these inner-city college kids would be like $1 million to them. And he couldn't see how the inner-city kids wouldn't do this point shaving. Yes, this guy seriously said this back in 2017, not that long ago. But of course, Rob never needed to do anything like that. That's because his gut feeling won him roughly 60 to 65% of his bets. He didn't need analytics or cheating to make his money. Renowned sports bettor Steve Fezzik was a skeptic. According to him, if a gambler starts with $1,000 and bets 10% of his total money a day, a 60% win rate at the end of 5 years will get that gambler $1 billion. Physics states that an all-star winning percentage is 55%. And those gamblers with that kind of winning percentage know everything about the players, any injury updates, and just any news. They know everything about the game and the players, and they aren't just going on gut instinct. Despite everything on paper not making sense, Gorodetsky lived it up. His trademark piece was his hat with the word gambler stitched into it. If you've ever watched the HBO show Entourage, then you have a rough idea of who Rob rolled around with, and he documented it all on Instagram. If the women, money, and the betting slips he posted weren't enough to prove how cool he was, the celebrity pitcher should, such as Rob's pick with Cleveland Browns wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. Rob supposedly had met him through OBJ's cousin, whom Rob had already knew. They met in the High Rollers Lounge in Aria, and they soon were playing at the blackjack table together. Rob supposedly lent OBJ 10 grand to play blackjack because he didn't have the cash on him. OBJ was apparently interested in having Rob put down $20,000 on a game for him, something that fell through. Do we need to say Beckham's representative claimed that OBJ doesn't know Rob and that the picture was only taken because of a simple fan request? OBJ wasn't the only supposed big-name celebrity on his friends list. Rob also claimed to be Drake's gambling guru. He said that Drake once wired him $100,000 to bet on sports games. They had met in the same High Rollers Lounge in Aria one fateful Vegas night. Supposedly, Drake would bet through Rob for months. Reps for Drake didn't have any comment for Rob's claim. But it's the same story for Rob and celebrities. He knows someone with a name, and Rob claimed that they would bet through him. Each time, the celebrity or their rep would deny knowing Rob or just didn't have any comments. USA Today wasn't completely enamored by Rob. They mentioned a judgment against him back in 2014. Gorodetsky was court-ordered to pay $59,000 to Linda Joseph and her son Jeremy Joseph for mismanaging funds he had agreed to invest for them. But according to Rob, they lost money together investing in stocks and betting on sports, something that they had agreed to do. He claims that he never did anything wrong. The court, however, felt differently. Did Rob really make his millions from gambling? No. The simple truth is that he was gambling with someone else's money. What he did instead was the same thing he did to Linda and Jeremy Joseph, except on a much larger scale. Big Rob didn't make any money from gambling. He simply had access to someone else's money. He probably didn't start out trying to scam the people closest to him. He might have genuinely thought he was good enough at gambling or trading. Maybe in high school, he did make a few grand, just not $500,000 on trading. And that gave him confidence to think he could do it. And in order to make money in these endeavors, you gotta have money in order to make money. So he took on investor money, and he had a good enough story to where people trusted him. But instead, when he started trading, when he started betting, he slowly began losing. He got comfortable for a while because he won here and there. That most likely gave him the confidence to win and lose bigger and bigger amounts. However, with big wins also came big losses. And whenever he had the big wins, he celebrated a little. But then a big loss came, wiping out the win and not covering whatever money he had spent celebrating the win. And this slowly started spiraling. He was slowly losing, and he was running out of money. But he still believed in his abilities. So he took on more money and bet even bigger. And it just got out of control. This is one likely scenario, but he might have just decided to run a giant scam because he could. Did Rob actually know all the celebrities that bet with him? He most likely did meet everyone that he's mentioned, but the rest of the story he most likely just made up. Any sports celebrity who met and took a picture with him had to deal with the unfortunate consequences of Rob showing up in their lives. Rob Gorodetsky admitted to stealing roughly $9.6 million between 2014 and 2017 from a person only identified as Victim A. However, it came out later that victim A was a successful New Jersey ophthalmologist. And he wasn't just a random person. He was the father of Gorodetsky's then girlfriend. He had made himself out to be a successful day trader to him. They were supposed to share in the profits Gorodetsky would make. Their relationship began in February of 2014 when victim A gave Rob almost $1 million to invest in the stock market. Rob, however, took roughly $747,000 of that money and just simply spent it on himself. Gorodetsky invested only $215,000. To make matters worse, Rob then told victim A in July of 2014 that his investments were paying off. According to Rob, he had already doubled his money to $2 million in the stock market. But in reality, records show that the money Gorodetsky had put into an E-Trade account was worth less than $72,000. Rob told his ex-girlfriend's dad that he could make even more money if he agreed to give him more cash. And oh yeah, he also has a talent for sports betting. So he was going to focus more on sports betting. And despite no real evidence for Rob's winning betting method, for some reason, he agreed. For 3 more years, Rob would scam him of almost $10 million. He simply just used the money to fund his lavish Vegas lifestyle and his losing bets. Rob would just create fake balance sheets, misstating how much money he had in their account. As far as the dad was concerned, they were making a ton of money. Here's the ironic thing. It was that same USA Today profile that turned out to be Rob's downfall. It got the attention of investigators from the Nevada Gaming Commission and the FBI. If he hadn't decided to do the interview, Rob has a good chance of still running his scams today. Prosecutors also said in court that before he scammed his ex-girlfriend's dad, Rob managed to scam over $500,000 out of at least 8 other investors between 2011 and 2012. He spent roughly $231,000 for personal use and lost the rest on trading. Did Rob actually start off wanting to scam people he knew? Maybe, maybe not. Rob Gorodetsky pleaded guilty to 2 counts of wire fraud and submitting fake tax returns. According to his 2016 tax returns, Rob only made $10,520 that year. Rob was sentenced to 28 months in prison for wire fraud and tax evasion in April of 2021 in order to repay $7.2 million. Here's what's next.